Hi guys, so here I am at Spring Harvest and I am very excited that I am back with another episode of Another Mother. This time I am speaking to Arianna Walker, all about navigating your career and your calling. She is so good at just sharing the wisdom that God has given her as she's navigated this season. So if this is a question that you've got in your mind right now, something that you're grappling with, then give this episode a listen and you will receive so much wisdom. So have a listen wherever you usually get your podcasts or check it out on YouTube. I will see you there. Hello everyone and welcome back to Another Mother. This is a faith and parenting podcast by My Spring Harvest with me, Emma Francis. I am a mum of two little ones. I've got Ezra, who is now 5, and Hallie, who is 2. And here on this podcast, I just get to have conversations with people that really inspire me about parenting, life, faith, all of the things. I just ask basically all the questions that I really want to know about. And I assume that you also want to know about these answers too. So that is why we record this podcast. So wherever you are listening today, I hope that this conversation encourages you, brings you some joy and some strength for the day ahead. So today we are joined by Arianna Walker. Hello. It's so lovely to have you, Arianna.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And you've come all the way from Leeds.
I have, yes. It was a heck of a journey.
Yes, you got a bit stuck at Bristol, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than the train deciding to have to go the opposite direction to where you want to go and taking a big detour, but I'm here.
There you go. She made it. So for those that don't know, Arianna is the CEO of Mercy UK. She is also a qualified teacher, a mental health first aider. Is this all correct? Yes, so far so good. You have a master's in psychology of mental health and well-being. Is that right?
Right, because you've done your research.
Right.
That is a lot of things, though. It's a lot of things. I'm older. Yeah. I'm old enough to have done all those things.
Yeah, well, and ambitious, I guess. Like lots of...
Busy.
Yeah. And you have been married to your husband, Matthew, is over 30 years now?
Yeah, since 1992.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. There should be like some sort of award for that, I think.
There should. What is 30 years on the like anniversary thing?
Oh, I think it's pearl.
Pearl?
I know that because I got a pearl ring.
There you go.
When it was 30 years, a few years ago.
Oh, lovely. And you've got 2 adult sons now, don't you? How
I do. 26 and 20, just about 24. Just turning 24, yeah.
Amazing. And you're about to gain a daughter-in-law?
Yes, so exciting. This is very exciting. We're having a girl join our family. So yeah, my son's getting married in 3 weeks' time in America. So we're starting that whole journey of bringing her. That everyone always says, you know, oh, you must be sad that, you know, you're going to lose your son and he's going to live in America. I'm like, nope, they're coming here, which he seemed to be very surprised about. But yeah, they're going to be living here with us in Yorkshire nearby.
So nice. Oh, that's so nice. You get to keep the family all together.
Well, close enough.
Yeah. So you do live a very full life. And I know you like downplay it and like, oh yeah, it's fine. Just a bit of this and a bit of that. But you do. You're like just 100 miles an hour. Like you do a lot of things. And has that always been kind of your personality since you were younger, or is it kind of developed as you've got?
Yeah, I've always loved challenge and a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So, you know, horse rider, dancer, skier, throw myself off cliffs and, you know, paragliding, parachuting, I've done all the things. Mainly actually when you lead a charity, you have to do these things to raise money, but I quite enjoy them, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's probably a personality thing. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, and tell us a bit about Mercy, because it's a Christian mental health charity, but can you just tell us a bit about what it is?
Yeah, so we've been around for 20 years now, just about, and started out as a Christian charity that ran a home for young women with life-controlling issues, so eating disorders, self-harming, depression, the effects of abuse, and they would come stay with us completely free of charge for around 6 to 9 months or so. And we did that for about 18 years. And then a few years ago, we launched something called Keys to Freedom, which is the workbook that we have now. About 400 churches around the UK use it, and it's in 5 languages across Europe. And that's really a discipleship. It's something you can just do with a pen, a Bible, the Holy Spirit Spirit, 20 minutes a day. It's like a devotional style workbook called Keys to Freedom. And that's been a huge success in terms of lots of people just finding that it really helps them to deepen their relationship with God, with themselves, with others. And that's been a great joy to us to see that.
That's amazing. You must have seen like so many real life transformation stories.
Absolutely. Yes. Really, so many people. One of the greatest joys in the last few years has been that we've been able to diversify who we can help. You know, before we had the Freedom Journey, if you weren't female or 18 to 30 and couldn't, you know, if you, you had to be able to leave your life behind, your kids if you had them, your job if you had one, your house if you had one, you had to leave it to come to Mercy to get help. And so it made the people who we could help quite a narrow bracket. There were so many restrictions in place. So we really felt challenged by God to remove all the restrictions. And we did that. And now we have just such a breadth of people, men and women, all ages, from anywhere. And instead of saying to people, if you need help, you need to come to Mercy. Now it's, you stay where you are, we'll come to you. And so, yeah, that's been a great joy.
That is good. And I feel like you really do listen to God. Like, I don't know. I think the things that I've read about you in interviews and things that I've seen you do before, you talk a lot about how like God really does kind of guide you. And I guess that's what you've been able to do as the leader of the organization as CEO. So when you started with Mercy, your kids would have been really young. So how did you kind of balance this like deeply passionate work alongside also having kids who like need a lot physically from you at a young age?
Oh yeah, that was a huge journey. I think for me, I've been a Christian all my life, really, from 5. My parents were pastors. They were missionaries. They worked for Open Doors. I spent my childhood smuggling Bibles across Eastern Europe. Well, actually, I just thought it was a holiday, to be honest. I was only a kid, but it turns out we were smuggling Bibles. So that was quite a fun kind of upbringing. And then, I got to a stage in my faith where, I was married. I had a couple of kids. We were in church, in leadership, pastoring thing, being involved at church. But I just felt so dissatisfied. Like I could tick all the boxes of the things you're supposed to do as a Christian. And yet I just felt like something was missing, like I wasn't connecting to what I'm here to do. And I remember praying and saying to God, what is missed? Like I just feel so dissatisfied. And he said, I want you to close your eyes and look at what your life is growing right now. And as soon as I felt God say that to me, I saw this huge field of roses. I said, I think I'm growing roses. He said, yeah, you're right. They look good and they smell good, but they're not feeding anyone. I was like, whoa. And he said, you can put just as much effort into growing crops that feed people and you'll feel different. And that was the kind of the sort of ground that was being laid in me when I then heard Nancy Alcorn speak at my church, who was who's the founder of Mercy globally. And it was like she just lit a fire inside me because God had done the groundwork, and suddenly I felt this passion igniting me. And the reason I say that is because when you have this passion that you feel God has lit in you, it can take over. Yeah. And it can become everything. And I remember at that time, my kids were maybe 6 and 3, something like that. And suddenly I had this call. I had this mission. I had this passion, and I gave everything to it. And my husband was a CEO already at that time, working 70 hours a week. I was working part-time, but now I had this going on and starting the ministry over here in the UK. And I gave it everything. And we went through this season of about 18 months of, well, I'll call them discussions. Well, heated discussions about how our life was not working, because there was just things you can't do it all. We're told constantly that you can do it, and you can't. It's a complete lie. We actually can't do it all. But I was giving it a really good go. And I remember one particular evening where we hadn't even spent any time together. We were like co-parenting, like he's got the kids this weekend, I've got the kids that weekend. I'm away then, he's away then. And it was just like that. And every time it came up, I would throw the God card at him. I'd be like, well, this is God's, like, how can you not be supporting me in this? This is the thing that God's called me to do. I'm being put on this planet to start this ministry and to help all these countless nameless, faceless young women. And turns out lots more than young women. And I remember this particular night, after the discussion, getting in the car, because that's what I used to do, like walk out, slam the door dramatically, get in the car, go for a drive, calm down. And on this particular one, I was praying this, and I honestly, I can't believe this is going to go out to lots of people. They're going to hear this story. I remember praying this prayer, seriously, going, God, he doesn't get it. I feel like Mary, that you've given me something to give birth to that's going to rescue many, many people. And he's like Joseph, like he doesn't get it. You need to like give him a dream or something, and maybe like something has to shift so that he understands how important this ministry is. And I will never forget the clarity with which God spoke to me. And he said, I only have you to be his wife. I only have you to be a mother to the 2 boys I've given you. I can ask anybody to do what you're doing at Mercy. I was like, wait, what? And he said, if you don't get it right, I'll take Mercy out of the equation and make it easy for you. I was like, oh, okay, that's not what I was expecting to hear. So I remember pulling over and was like, okay, God, say more, because I'm not happy about that. And then I had this, and I'm very visual. So, you know, people often say, how does God speak to you? Well, usually it's very kind of visual in pictures, and I'm a horsey person. So I see things like often to do with horses. And he said to me, he said, you're riding a horse called Passion. And it's a wild stallion. And very few people in my kingdom learn how to ride Passion well. And he said, Passion will give you speed. He will lend you speed, and Passion will jump you over obstacles that others come up against. And, you know, you've already jumped it before you've even known there was an obstacle there. Passion will help you rally troops around you, and Passion will help you see further than others can see. But then I felt God say, if you don't put reins on Passion, though it lends you all these great things, it will trample over flowers that you're supposed to protect, and it will take you past landscape you're supposed to enjoy. And it'll land you in a place at a time you were never meant to be. So learn to put reins on Passion. And it probably saved my marriage, certainly saved my sanity, and made me a different person, a different leader, because I went back to the conversation that I'd left so badly, sat down and had said the hardest words I've ever said. 1, I'm sorry. So bad at that. 33 years later, I'm still not very good at it. And 2, let's do this differently. And if we can't make this work, and we can't build the marriage we want to build, then I'll leave Mercy behind. And I had to mean it. And it wasn't that I had to do all the changing. You know, I was now working full time as well, and the dishes aren't my dishes, and the washing isn't my washing. So we had to shift quite a lot of things between us, and put boundaries down and decide what ingredients we needed for our relationship to work. But in terms of the question, that's like the longest answer ever. The question of how did I make it work when the kids were young, the boundaries and perspective, and understanding that we can't get caught up in the ministry of doing at the cost of the being. And being a wife and being a mother is different than doing the leadership of a ministry.
Hi guys, I'm just interrupting this episode of Another Mother very quickly because I wanted to show you where we've been doing all of our main sessions this week at Spring Harvest. It is here at Studio 36. This is where all of our podcast guests from this season have been sharing their inspiring teachings, leading us in heartfelt worship, and uniting us as a community in faith. So we want you to join us here at Butlins, Skegness or Minehead in April 2026. For a transformative week that will deepen your faith. So head over to springharvest.org and secure your place today. And don't forget, for Another Mother listeners, we've got an exclusive discount for you, detailed in the description below. So check that out, and we'll see you next year. Wow, do you know, I've never really heard someone speak about that before, like in terms of having such a strong calling to something and being so clear that this is what God wants you to do. And then obviously having the responsibility of your children. And then that thing, it's like, actually, no, that is like what God has already placed in your hands is more important, and God could just take the other thing away.
Well, anyone could do that.
Like what?
I know it was,
Yeah.
and it had to have some practical things attached as well, because this all sounds really like great in retrospect, you know, when all the like nice little visual and everything, but practically what it meant was, you know, we sacrificed some other things financially so that we could afford to get a cleaner in.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't have to clean. I'm not the only person who can clean, but I am the one who wants to take my kids to the football match after school. So I made those kind of choices.
Make the priority.
So that's the priority. I want to be there cheering my kids on sports day, but I don't need to be cleaning the toilets at home and putting the washing on. Someone else can do that. So and then it was, you know, we need to be wise about how we spend our time, even when we have it together. We're not going to just have our laptops open back to back. Do you want a coffee? No, I'm all right. You know, and carry on working. We actually needed to, certainly for those first few years when the kids were little and when we were just kind of recovering from this period of not seeing each other at all, just investing into our marriage and taking a day off and having that together. You know, we always take each other's birthday off work. So, you know, little things like that.
Yeah.
So you have to back it up with really practical things that work for you.
Yeah. And I think that goes to show how sustainably you've kind of created your life. Because I think probably what I tend to do is I get really excited and passionate about something, like give 100% to it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted now. I can't do that again. And then it just kind of dwindles away. Whereas I think like you've obviously now done Mercy for so many years. You've obviously done it in a way that is sustainable for you and for your family, and like having a great relationship with your sons, and that is a really hard juggle.
Yeah. Do you know what though? When you do, in the end, it's just about obedience, because I didn't come up with that myself. That wasn't my own wisdom. That was me not being like, you know, a marriage counselor or something. That was just me going, oh, I think I need to do this, God. Or rather, I think you need to do this, God. And him responding with something that, had I not listened to it, I don't think I'd be on the benefit of it.
Yeah.
So obedience actually was probably the main thing. And then what happened was just the grace that God gives. When, you know, it reminds me of that passage in, I think it's in Matthew, in the Message, where it says, you know, work with me and walk with me, watch how I do it. You know, learn the unforced rhythms of grace. You know, I won't lay anything ill-fitting. And there's that whole concept that when you do things in step with him, with the Holy Spirit, there's a grace that's released. That's his power, not your power. So you're using his resources, not your resources. And honestly, that's the only way. It's the only way.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. I think like as women especially, I think we go through like so many phases of life, and we've always got so many decisions to make, haven't we? So it's like you're doing a business and you're raising your kids and you've got to choose the priorities and choose whether to get a cleaner or not. Like all of these different things. They're like the only inevitable thing really for all of us is constant change. And even like with our bodies, we're constantly going through so many changes. And one thing that you're here at Spring Harvest to speak about is menopause, because you've done a whole big like study on it. Was it your dissertation that you wrote?
It was.
Yeah. So I am very interested in this because I know nothing about the menopause, and I think that's like a crime, because how am I a woman? I have no idea.
It's not your crime. It's the generation above you. We should be telling you.
Yeah,
which we're doing.
Yeah, you're doing it. So tell us, what do we need to know?
I wish I'd have known. So yeah, it came out of my dissertation because when I did my master's, I being a woman in leadership and then going through the menopause and knowing nothing about it, I kind of was on the other end of it before I realized that I wasn't actually losing my mind. I was going through the menopause and there just wasn't any information. Nobody spoke about it. So I did a study on women in leadership going through the menopause in the workplace.
Wow.
And what some of the main symptoms are that affect them the most. And interestingly, it wasn't the physical symptoms, the hot flushes that everybody talks about and all those things. You know, they had strategies for that. We're pretty resourceful as women.
Yeah.
We know how to deal with some of those things. So, you know, you wear layers and you change where you sit and you have a fan and all those things. People knew what to do about that. It was the psychological and the cognitive symptoms. So psychological, by that I mean the brain fog. You've had children, you know, baby brain.
Yeah,
well,
it's very real.
It comes back
So unfair.
with a vengeance around about your early 40s. No, anyway, yeah. So that sense of just feeling like your brain's not your own anymore and you're forgetting things, that not being able to concentrate. So the brain fog and the cognitive just forgetting people's names that you've worked with for 5 years, or like, you know, forgetting that you're supposed to be somewhere. Like I did at Spring Harvest last year when I had an interview that I completely forgot I had and didn't turn up. And it was about the menopause and about brain fog and forgetting things. So, you know, real life example there. And it took me about 6 minutes to lose my welcome pack when they gave it to me. So there's those things that really are hard, and the stigma that was attached to it, which is why people didn't know, because the generation above us never spoke about it.
And because like you don't know necessarily, do you know that you're experiencing the menopause when you're having like brain fog and all that, or do you kind of put two and two together?
If you've got the information, you know, knowledge is power. So the more you know, the more you're equipped to respond. And it's really hard because actually menopause is just one day. And you're like,
what do you want?
There is one day that is your menopause day. That is day 365 after your last period. That's your menopause day. After that day, you are postmenopausal. Before that, you're perimenopausal, if you're having symptoms. So whenever your symptoms start, that's your perimenopause, right up until your day 365, which is your menopause day. And then after that's postmenopause. And the symptoms can last 7 to 14 years.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's really not fair.
There is hope, though. There's lots of things you can do to help. But I don't want anyone listening to get really overwhelmed and depressed by it.
Yeah, but no, I think it is like, it's one of those things that we just need to be able to talk about more, because there is so much that we just don't know. And I don't know why we don't know it. So I think it's great that you're like speaking about it here. Is it from like a faith perspective that you're speaking about?
Faith, but also just a general women's health and well-being, and feeling a real sense. One of the things that came out of my research was how passionate the women I spoke to were about not passing on to the generation below us what was passed to us. Wow. So that complete ignorance, the lack of being equipped and empowered to do something. And one of the reasons is that there's now more, certainly in my research, because it was women in leadership, there are now more women in leadership than there's ever been. So there's more of us going through menopause in the workplace with high responsibilities and the impact that has then on your job. You know, like 10% of the female workforce leave their jobs because of menopause symptoms. It's a huge issue. So yeah, it's really exciting to be able to make a difference and talk about it. That's the first thing we need to do, is talk about it. And then it's peer support, and just passing on the knowledge and the tips and the ways to deal with it. So
yeah, I love that idea of like us kind of equipping following generations with what we've learned, and allowing every generation to be stronger than the last. So I guess with that thought in mind, there was this social media trend recently where it was like, I don't know if you've seen it, it was like having coffee with your younger self. Yeah, and it's like they show up and you do this like poetic thing of like, they were on time, I was early. But basically it's about, I guess all the ways that maybe you're different now, or the things that you've learned along the way. So if you were to have coffee with your younger self, what would you want to maybe warn young Arianna about, and what would you want to encourage her in?
I think I would probably just say, you don't have to have it all worked out. I think we spend so much, I certainly in my younger days spent so much time trying to answer the question, what do I want to be? Or who do I want to be? Like, you know, especially when you're really young at school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? There's this like pressure to come up with a definitive answer when you're like 14 and you're choosing your subjects, and then 60 when you're leaving school, and 80 when you have to have this answer of, this is where I'm heading. Mm-hmm. And I never knew the answer to that. I'd come up with a different one every week. And I didn't realize until I was 32 and I sat in that meeting that I referenced earlier, and I heard this woman speak, and something lit on the inside of me, that I realized that the reason I couldn't answer that question is because what I would end up doing didn't exist yet. Wow. It didn't exist. I couldn't have picked what I do now because it didn't exist. Mm-hmm. How do you pick the life you're leading in your 50s when you're 15?
Yeah.
You can't. So I don't know where this pressure comes to have an answer to the question, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? When for me, I think I would say just embrace the journey and know that nothing you do in the now will be wasted in the future. And all the things that I did end up doing and learning and the, you know, you said I'm a qualified teacher. It's a bit embarrassing because it takes 4 years to become a teacher. I did a BEd and, you know, spent 4 years of my life learning to be a teacher. I did it for a year and then sat there one day and go, I don't want to do this. No, this isn't me. I don't like literally walked out and the next day I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I handed my notice in and decided I was going to do something else.
But that's the best thing, isn't it? Like giving yourself permission to change your mind and not almost becoming enslaved to like a decision that you made at one point. Because you could still be a teacher now and hate it if you just were like, oh, I've got to stick to it because I did 4 years.
I did 4 years, I know. I started my own business. That lasted 4 years. Then I worked for the NHS. That lasted 2 years. But when I look back now, all those things I did contribute to the skills I have now and how I do what I do now. So you don't need to have it all worked out. That's why I would say, like, stop worrying about it. Yeah, just enjoy the journey.
But I think I worry too much. I think I'm like constantly thinking like how much impact a specific decision is going to make. And I think especially when you've got young kids as well, you feel such responsibility over every decision that you make. So yeah, I guess that's the encouragement. Just take the pressure off.
Take the pressure off. Enjoy the journey.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Arianna. It's been so nice to have you on and we hope that your seminar goes really well. We'll be there. I'll hopefully be there.
Yeah. Come and learn more about menopause.
There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode with Arianna Walker. I was so inspired just hearing about how she's allowed God to guide her in her journey. And it just helps me think about how I can speak to God about my own journey and that He really will give me the wisdom that I need to make the right decisions for my career, for my family, and for my life. And it was also really interesting to hear a lot more about the menopause. This is definitely a conversation that we should be having a lot more. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you in 2 weeks' time.